Just waiting to bench downstairs. I'll come again when we're ready.
I always wanted to serve on a jury.
I'm really super excited to be here, so I really appreciate you having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Creating this whole trial daddy.
I want to give a big shout out to the 13th Jury Podcast and Brandi.
Yeah, I applaud you guys. Keep doing what you're doing.
That every time you run into Phil Barber, you should reach for it.
And then I just looked to the jury, and it's sort of like, look.
I was in the eye of the storm, and you guys were watching the storm.
Hey, if you're bored of work, come pop in and say, hey, we'll have some coffee.
You are a ray of sunshine, and I love what you've done with your YouTube channel.
Good morning. Oh, I should have muted that. Oh, I'm blurry where I've been sitting here dancing to the intro music. Good morning, family. Good morning. I should be still. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Hello. Hello. Good morning. Look, it looks like I just woke up. However, in reality, I gotta get a sweater sitting right here by this. In reality, I've been up since 4:30. It just looks like I woke up. Good morning. We have much to be thankful for today. Happy Thursday! Here's what we have going on. My kid will be here any minute with coffee for me, which makes me really excited. That's number one, because I was out. Number two, we have, where'd it go? Oh, there we go. I'm going to mute it because they're not very interesting. Oh, where am I? Peekaboo. We have court is they got stuff going on, so we're just gonna sit here and wait on them. I think that they're delayed a little bit because of storms and whatnot, so that's okay. We are going to sit here and wait. We ain't got nothing else to do, right? Also, oh gosh, Lord of mercy. We got the cameraman that zooms a lot. This is the one that we had last time where we saw like we saw the pores of Lally, but that's okay. Beggars can't be choosers. At least we get to see it. That's all right. So, oh yeah, it's nasty here today. I've been seeing all the stuff about all the bad weather up there, so I am lucky it is not bad weather here. We did have a little bit the night before, but not everything's running together. Gaily made member for 11 whole months. Woo woo! Love this channel. Gosh, 11 months, y'all. It's almost been a year. That's crazy, right? It's crazy. Crazy. So, yeah, he loves his zoom button. Lord of mercy, this cameraman loves his zoom button. But that's okay. That's okay. We're going to zoom right along with him. It'll be fine. If you missed... Oh, hold on. My kid's here with coffee. You just wait right here. My kid's here with coffee. Hold on. I desperately need coffee. Oh, there's a hand. Oh, a hand in a Zoom. I'll be right back. There's the Zoom. There's the Zoom. Okay. Sorry. I had to get my coffee. What were we talking about? I don't even remember. Yes, welcome. Hello. The show last night. Ow. Calm down, Luce. The show last night, if you missed it, I did a show. I was a guest on Melanie Little's channel, which is great because she is wonderful. She is fantastic. And it's funny because I've had so many people asking me to team up with her recently. So I've heard so many good things about her. So it was great to be able to do a show with her and get all of her legal insight into some of this. So I am showing it live now, but she is going to do a stream, I think about lunchtime, and she's going to watch this. So definitely check her out this afternoon when she shows it, because I am a finder of facts and patterns and data, but I am not a lawyer, and she is, so she can give you the legal insight into all this stuff. So she's wonderful. Yeah, she's great. She was awesome. What else we have going on? Oh, well, since you asked, let me show you. I think that I'm so sleep deprived at this point. I'm a little delirious, but we're going to go with it. We're going to go with it. We're going to go with it. All right, let's see. Charts. Let me just show you why I'm so excited today. So excited today. What happened? Okay, let's see. That's not what I want. Hold on. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. That's why. Duh. Get it together, Brandi. Okay, here we go. Let's try this again. I pulled up this morning the charts, and this made me very, very excited. What the heck? For some reason, my pictures, the logo for the podcast isn't showing up. It was showing up earlier, but for some reason, it's not showing up now. It's a blue spot. If it's not one tech issue, it's 100 others. Anyway, that's okay. 13 Juror Podcast is number 45 in the U.S. in true crime, which is really freaking cool. And I'm very proud of that. And my logo was showing this morning. I'm glad I took a screenshot because now it's gone. I don't know what the heck happened with that, but whatever. But 13 Juror Podcast is ranked number 45. And I think that, and Nancy Grace, I'm ranked above Nancy Grace. That may never happen again in my life. So I had to document it. I'm glad I took a screenshot because I don't know why my logo is not showing. But anyway, so it's kind of cool. It's like, but then you look, it's like Sony Music Entertainment and the New Yorker and, Audio Boom and NBC. And then like, it's all these like big things. And then Brandi. I think it's kind of cool though, right? So, ranked number 45. Kind of cool, right? I think it's really cool. I'm excited. I posted it on Facebook and I was like, this may never happen again. I may never be ranked above Nancy Grace again. So let me document it and be excited in these small moments. And my mama called and she's like, "Oh my God!" It was funny. So it's very cool. I'm excited. A lot of hard work. Has gone into it, but it's worth it. I love what I do, and I like being able to put the effort in and make sure we're getting facts out there. So very cool. Yeah, Kendall is massive too, and she's so sweet too. She won. I did a contest on Twitter where I wanted people to. I like to celebrate not only good creators but also good people. So I did a contest. I was like, tag your favorite ethical creator, like the ones who honor the victims and all of that. And so she was one of them that somebody tagged, and she ended up winning the thing. And I think it was like a $50 gift card or something. And she won, and I asked her, I was like, okay, well, do you want me to send Venmo, whatever? And she wanted me to give it to the charity that she supports, which I thought was really cool. So I did that and then sent her the confirmation for it. But she's really cool. Yeah, I was excited too. I was excited. You've come a long way. I know. Who knew? Who knew? Very cool. I'm excited. Yes. The hearing, let's see what's going on outside. We can pull up. And actually, I need to find out why let me not get distracted. I'll put that on my list. I need to find out why my logo's not showing on there now. If it's not one thing, it's 100 other. Thank you, Shireen. I appreciate it. Okay. I believe Tom CPU is outside. Let's see if he's still out there. This is Tom CPU. He has a channel. He goes live from outside. Woo, loud. He goes live from outside. Yeah, today is all about the buffer zone. Oh God, I'm not supposed to yawn. What does little Brandi think about his mom being famous? He just wants me to go on Joe Rogan. He says that I haven't actually made it in the podcast world until I'm a guest on Joe Rogan. So he's not impressed yet. Nothing strengthens authority as much as silence. So, what do y'all think? Okay, let's do a poll. Ow. Do you think the 500-foot buffer zone for protests should be enforced? Yes or no? And differing opinions are okay. What are you doing, child? What are you doing, big girl? As long as, we respect each other's opinions, differing opinions are totally fine. But you can say in chat what you think, what your reasoning behind it is. Oh goodness. Oh yeah, weather looks bad. Only during jury selection if they can't find a secure way to transport them. Spent 13 years in uniform. Protest, peacefully assemble as much as possible. First Amendment for a reason. Sounds like EDB's boy who won't believe she's a proper YouTuber until she has an M next to her subscribers. That's funny. Trying to make this to where we can still see if they come in. Yeah, it's stormy. Yeah, did you see our umbrella flip up? That's crazy. So hoping we get to hear Randazza argue his motion today. He's an incredible First Amendment attorney. Yeah, I've never seen anything like this, so I don't know how it's gonna go. I love their accents. I can't tell you how many times, let me tell you, when I am recording, I cannot tell you how many times I stop and like have to re-record and like try to focus on my accent not showing up. I have to un-southernize, is that a word? I have to un-southernize the podcast a lot. Re-record parts. Because otherwise I get the people, anybody who disagrees with anything I say or don't like anything I say, I'll get those people and they'll be like, you're not even from here. Why are you talking dumb hillbilly. I've been called a dumb hillbilly like 4 or 5 times. Probably all by the same person on different accounts, but that's okay. So I try to like make sure that when I'm recording, I mind my accent. Good morning. Y'all come on in. Jen, member for 11 whole months. Oops, it moved. Oops. Yay! Happy anniversary! I just love accents in general. I love almost all accents. I think that I love it just gives such I love it. When I went to college, it was the first time that I was around anybody that had an accent other than mine, and I thought it was just the coolest thing. I've always loved them. Welcome, y'all come on in. I'm gonna close the outside court camera in just a minute when they get to going. Bug Dugger, welcome, hello, 10 months, 10 whole months, just because we a hillbilly don't mean we don't. Yeah. I said in one of my very first videos when people kept asking me to put it on TikTok, I put it on TikTok and I said something about ain't, and somebody told me that they couldn't take anything I said seriously because I used the word ain't. And I was like, well, you wouldn't make it down here, would you? And then I'm like, bro, Murdoch is Southern too, so like I'm not the only one that's gonna say ain't. It's funny, the things that people are funny. People are funny. All right, I'm gonna close out this part. There we go. Oh yes, we hit 17K. I didn't do a live yesterday because I was working on episode 8, but we did hit 17K yesterday. Lauren, hello, Lauren, hello. TikTok comments are savage. Yeah, I don't go, that's a neighborhood I don't go to anymore. I don't go to the TikTok stuff. All of our 13th year TikTok stuff is handled through Cajun, one of our mods. She does all of that. I don't do any of it on my personal stuff anymore because I realized that it's like 12-year-olds that are like savage and coming at you and they'll say things that they don't even know it's wrong, and they'll say it as if it's fact, and it's just the most random thing. And I was like, this, you know what, this isn't my jam. Like, this is not where I am meant to be in life on TikTok. It's just not my thing. It's crazy. People are crazy. Love being part of this bro community. Legally Braun. I love that. Oh, the Zoomer's back. Happy 2-month anniversary. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you. Thank you. And Lauren has a great podcast too. If y'all have not checked out Lauren, she's fantastic. Lauren did 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Very generous. Oh, Jenny C., there's a reason why New Englanders call people from Massachusetts massholes. I've heard that. I've heard that a lot since I started covering this. I've heard that a lot. And happy anniversary. And welcome to some of the new people. Melanie said that she's going to come in chat, but she is, I don't think she's wanting to stream or anything this morning, but she's going to show this, I think, around lunchtime. So definitely check it out when she shows it too, because she'll give you the attorney insider insight that she's so great at. She's wonderful. Nicole Pierce, welcome. Lucy's needing attention. Welcome to the family. Welcome, welcome. The camera person, okay, if this is the same camera person, and it looks like it is, if this is the same camera person from last time, they love that Zoom button. Love the Zoom button. Gypsy's mom gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Shannon Cooper member for 3 whole months. 3 whole months. Happy, happy anniversary. Intolerant. Where did that just go? It moved. It moved. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? There we go. Pausing Apple River stabbing trial for this. Congratulations on the success. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I have heard that one's interesting. I have not had a chance to watch. I've been working on getting podcast episodes finished, and I've had a bunch of behind the scenes stuff going on, so I haven't got to watch it, but I've heard it's interesting. It might be one that when things calm down for me a little bit, I'll have to catch it on replay. Hello, Jackie, member for 2 whole months. Happy, happy anniversary. Happy, happy anniversary. Happy, happy anniversary. Oh, we can hear. Is it good? I've heard it is. The camera person on Apple River trial was zooming in on prosecutor's notepad. Ooh. Look, I love a good inappropriate zoom sometimes. So, there she is. Hello, Melanie. Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Pre-tennis for the defense day. I was just saying, I don't know if you've set a time yet that you're going to show this, but I was just telling them that you're going to show this and to check it out for all the legal insight. I hear whispering. I love a good hot mic moment. Yeah, Tanya, I can't talk. Tanya Unetti is amazing. I mean, that's a proud family. Wild Child, thank you so much for Super Chat. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
hear ye, hear ye. All persons have any business before the Honorable Beverly Canoni, Justice of the Norfolk Superior Court in the County of Norfolk. Draw near, give your attendance, you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is now open. You may be seated.
1 Eastern, Melanie, y'all check it out. 1 Eastern.
Thanks, Jim.
Judge, this is 22 CR 117, the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed. Can I have counsel identify themselves for the record, starting with the Commonwealth?
Good morning, Your Honor. Adam Lally for the Commonwealth.
Good morning, Mr. Lally.
Good morning, Your Honor. Laura McLaughlin for the Commonwealth.
Good morning, Ms. McLaughlin.
Good morning, Your Honor. Tanis Unetti representing Karen Reed.
Good morning, Ms. Unetti. I'm told that David Unetti's held on trial somewhere else.
He is, Your Honor.
Okay. And good morning, Ms. Reed. All right. So first and foremost, housekeeping. Mr. Lally, what is the status of the DNA?
So, Your Honor, the status of the DNA, as I spoke to the lab a few times over the last couple of days, they actually were able to stay late last night and finish the mitochondrial portion in regard to seeing if they were able to generate a profile from the hair sample.
Can you hear him, Ms. Unetti?
I would actually prefer, Your Honor, if you would take the podium.
Or just,
Fine.
yeah.
So, Your Honor, just to begin again, so I've spoken to the lab a few times over the last week or so, including this morning. So they were able to stay late last night and finish the generating, to see if they could generate a mitochondrial DNA profile for the hair sample. I was informed this morning that they were able to generate a partial profile. They're still in the process of seeing if a full profile can be generated, but they've begun the process of generating a profile from the sample from Mr. O'Keefe. As far as I'm a little unclear, and I responded with some questions just for clarification purposes, because I'm a little unclear of whether or not a partial profile would be something they could do a comparison with in regard to the mtDNA. And then I'm also inquiring as to, so initially what I've been told is that if they were not able to generate a profile, I would have a report on that by the end of next week, and that would essentially be the end of it. However, given this development, I'm not sure, other than they indicated that any sort of report regarding a comparison would likely be sometime after April 16th. And then obviously I asked for clarification, and I'm still awaiting that as far as what after April 16th means, as far as are we talking about, you know, the week following or a month later, or what the situation is. So unfortunately I don't have a ton of clarity, but at least I'm able to tell the court that they were able to generate at least a partial profile from the hair sample.
All right, so trial starts a week from Tuesday. Mm-hmm. I would entertain a motion to exclude the DNA. All right, so let's move on to what we have here. All right, so I will hear from the Commonwealth on your motion for a buffer zone and for restricting clothing.
Oh.
Thank you, Your Honor. So the Commonwealth would ask that the motion be allowed for a number of different reasons. Essentially, what I would submit to the court is that this is not, as the court is well aware, this is not a novel approach. This is something that's been done in other cases and done specifically in other cases in this courthouse. What the Commonwealth would submit is what's been proposed to the court is an entirely neutral motion, and that it applies equally regardless of viewpoint, regardless of content of signage or clothing items or anything else. The motion the Commonwealth filed is not in essence about any sort of protesters or any sort of presence in regard to them, but more about the jurors and about the jurors' freedom to be free and to come and to perform their civic duty free from extraneous influence. We need in this case, obviously, as the court is well aware, a fair and impartial jury. And this is something that extends beyond just the impanelment of that jury. As the court is well aware, as the court asks questions or inquires of every jury in every case multiple times a day about whether or not that they've been exposed to any sort of extraneous influences, or if they've gone online, or if they've seen things on social media pertaining to the case. And the question I would ask is, how is a juror supposed to truthfully answer that in the negative when they're bombarded with it every single time that they walk in and out of this courthouse? It's not asking for a restriction on free speech or to infringe upon someone's First Amendment right. Protesting is going to happen, that's fine. It's just where it happens and how it impacts the jury in this case is what the Commonwealth has concerns about. Another analogy I would make, Your Honor, is to voting place restrictions, another fundamental right in which there are restrictions as far as signage and footage away from the voting place of how close you can be, that they're not allowed inside the building with signs related to whatever specific candidate you're supporting. You can't go in the voting booth next to somebody, take your candidate's sign and shove it in somebody's face while they're trying to exercise their right to vote. Essentially, what this motion is asking is or seeking to protect is the freedom of the jurors who are called upon to execute their civic duty unfettered from extraneous influence. We're not asking the court to restrict the media or anyone's access to the media. And I would note anecdotally that within this courthouse over the last year plus, there have been several instances in which jurors on completely unrelated cases have had to receive instructions from the court and been impacted by the activities related to this case every time that it's on. Lastly, what I would submit to the court is really any opposition, or at least the ones that I've seen as far as an amicus, essentially, the reason for the opposition is because there are parties that want to try and see if they can influence the jury inappropriately in this case. All we're asking for, Your Honor, all the Commonwealth is submitting in whatever form or modifications the court deems appropriate based on the Commonwealth's proposal. But what we're essentially asking for is to allow the jury to execute their duties in this case, both during the impanelment process and throughout the course of the trial as they're hearing evidence, and not be subjected to extraneous influences, regardless of the viewpoint of those extraneous influences during the course of the exercision of that duty. For those reasons, the Commonwealth would ask that the motion be allowed.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Unetti?
Thank you.
Your Honor, I have three things that I would like to put on the record for this court. First, please note that we do not control these protesters. This has been an organic movement that arose because ordinary citizens were made aware of the case and apparently agree with us that the prosecution of Karen Reed is unjust. Speaking out against injustice is a fundamental American right. My client is appreciative of the support that she has received and continues to receive, but we in no way dictate or instruct anyone to do anything. These are strictly citizens invoking their right to free speech. Second, while we question whether the Commonwealth's motion is constitutional, we are taking no position on this issue. In our view, this is between this honorable court and the general public. It is between...
And I share your view. I think this is something that frankly could have been done administratively, but I wanted to give the defendant an opportunity to be heard. So you're not taking a position on it?
No, we believe that this is between the Commonwealth and the Constitution and in this honorable court and the general public. And that while the ACLU has filed something, members of the public have filed something, they will speak to the constitutionality of this, and other than receiving our sympathy and our blessing, we are not joining in their argument. Again, we're taking no position, and I want to make clear that our position, our intent is and always has been that we are going to win this case inside the courtroom. Your Honor, that is what we're going to do. We're going to win this case inside the courtroom, and with that, I'll waive further argument.
Okay. So I have received something styled a citizen's motion to intervene. And I think criminal counsel surely knows that unlike civil, there is nothing in the mass rules of criminal procedure that supports intervention in a criminal case. But I've read the memo. I received it yesterday and I've read it. I am not going to hear from counsel. I do want to say, and quoting the appeals court, intervention is a concept foreign to criminal procedure. Now, apparently the Civil Liberties Union of Massachusetts, understanding that, filed a motion to file an amicus curiae memorandum. So that motion is allowed. And I have read the ACLU brief, and frankly, I find it very helpful, and I've been persuaded by many of the points in there. So I don't need to hear from anybody, and the ACLU, I think, did a great job in their memo, and I understand their position. So it's undisputed that under our system of government, the people's right to protest is preserved under the First Amendment, as is the free expression of their views. I have to consider, of course, this very important constitutional right, but the bedrock principle of the trial court is assuring a defendant, it is and it must be assuring the defendant a right to a fair trial, which includes a right to a fair and impartial jury, which by definition is a jury free from any outside influence. So my focus has to be on having this jury hear the evidence and the law and decide this case based solely on the evidence and the law that is heard here in this courtroom. I have to balance the rights of protest. The law is very clear on this. Sometimes these are competing interests. But in balancing them, in weighing all the factors, I do find that an external buffer zone is appropriate and that we do need prudent regulation on in-court expression. But the 500 feet is far too excessive. So I recognize that my obligation is that I must reasonably accommodate the rights of all people to protest in a meaningful way, while ensuring, above all here, that this case is decided fairly based on the evidence without any undue interference from outside pressures or influence in accordance with the law. And that's what I will do. So I will have a written order and a very short decision on this by tomorrow, but hopefully by this afternoon. So I will see you all next week. And I intend to go through all the motions in limine on Friday. I would like council to consider how you want to do empanelment. If there is a request for a questionnaire, it needs to be a supplemental questionnaire. Council need to work together. It needs to be one page, 2 sides, no longer. Council works together, and if you cannot agree on a questionnaire, then part 1 of the questionnaire will be what you agree to. Part 2 of the questionnaire will be what the Commonwealth wants and the defendant objects to. And part 3 will be what the defendant wants and the Commonwealth objects to. And it must all be on 1 page. So I'll see you all next Friday.
So,
Goodbye.
is it even
Eliminate that little feature.
who's surprised? Her hair looks great. Now I wish I would who's surprised? So she's denying the 500-foot buffer zone. But will grant looks like they said if it's wasted $6,000, she wouldn't even consider it. That's crazy. Let's see if we have. What's up? Let's see who's outside. You can't hear me. I have my microphone turned down. Now can you hear me? I have my mic turned down. Let's do a poll. Okay, also, let's talk about the mitochondrial DNA for a moment. So, here we are.
Mr. McDermott.
Oh, look at him zooming in on her. That is super inappropriate. Also, I'm nosy, so I can appreciate the you know, the dig, but also super inappropriate to zoom in on somebody's phone.
Thanks.
The mitochondrial DNA, too. Let's
Good, thanks.
talk about that for a moment, because let me turn this back down now that I boosted the volume so much. The DNA is okay. So she said that she will entertain a motion to exclude the DNA, because now here we are before this, you know, right before trial starts. They still haven't gotten this. At the last hearing, they talked about the mitochondrial DNA, and he said that they were going to find out if they could even get the profile. They were supposed to find that out. I think he said that the end of the month or beginning of this month or whatever it was. And once he found out that, then it would be mid-April before they could get the report. So now here we are right before trial is getting ready to start, and they have a partial profile, and it will still be like, you know, who knows how this has been going on, this DNA testing and all of the motions, the DNA testing and all of that. This has been going on for so long.
When I first looked at it, I go, is that the Brooklyn Bridge? Yeah, so he got a new job. It wasn't without its problems, but he decided at one point he wanted to move away, which was great.
Hot mic.
And so he came home.
Oh, hot mic's gone. Hot mic's gone. Oh, Lucy's gone. Everybody's gone. Oh, and I'm blurry. All kinds of problems. Okay, so Attorney Melanie Little says, I'm surprised that she didn't agree with the 500-foot outright. She has her mind made up but won't rule from the bench. That part doesn't surprise me. No, that part doesn't surprise me either. She very rarely rules from the bench. It's always... she will give her written... written announcements. Here, let's watch them outside.
We'll move to intervene. We're going to move to try to even delay the trial until this is worked out, because the First Amendment is prominent. It's above any other right that we have. If you don't have the right to stand here, I mean, is that person really doing something wrong? Not at all. This is a sacrosanct right. What's the point of a republic, of a constitutional republic, if we don't have a constitution? I appreciate you. Thank you. Yep, thank you. Woo.
Oh gosh, I'm so glad it's not cold here.
Such a delightful day.
The buffer zone, but 500 feet is way too much.
How big of a buffer zone do you think that she's going to approve?
Well, it's ridiculous, because normally when a judge restricts protests, it's to protect the defendants. this is a motion filed by District Attorney Morrissey to protect his office. It has nothing to do with the defendant. This is all about Morrissey trying to protect his corrupt district attorney's office. It has nothing to do with the defendant's rights.
How about standing out here today? We're in the middle of a nor'easter. You decided to come out anyway.
I'm here for everything since July.
So the weather's going to keep you away.
Okay, so what about the part about him? What are your thoughts about the jury selection? Keeping or having the buffer during jury selection, but not the trial. I saw some of you mentioning that you could understand it during jury selection, but not for the actual trial itself. And keep in mind, it's okay to disagree, as long as we all disagree respectfully. Are the protesters for her or against her? Most of the protesters that are out there they have the free Karen Reed stuff. This case has grown and grown and grown, the attention on it, because there are so many problems. Two pairs of pants on. I love that accent. Oh, I love that accent so much. It has grown so much because there's so many issues with it. It's one of those things where the math ain't mathin'. There's all kinds of problems with the reports, with the investigation, with the people who were involved in the investigation, with the inconsistent statements, with the timeline. And the problem is when so many things don't add up and aren't, when the information that's provided to us gives more questions than it does answers, it makes everything, it puts a cloud of distrust on the entire thing. If you know that there are issues with the investigation and the people involved in the investigation, and there's issues with the people involved in the prosecution, if you already know that, then every single thing that's presented to you from those people is going to be automatically harder to accept as fact. So it's hard to it's hard to understand how they got to where they did with a lot of their information. The problem with, and I think I mentioned this on the last episode of the podcast, it was 21 months into the investigation before they actually recorded an interview. And that's insane to me. And I've heard people say, oh, well, because they didn't look at it as a, homicide or a murder investigation at first. That's not true. That's not true. They even had, the cocktail glass was, potentially the murder weapon, and there's so many problems, and to wait 21 months until you finally record an interview. And I mentioned this in the last episode, and I'm sure I'm sure that I'll get some. I haven't gotten any attacks for it yet, but I'm sure it's coming. But I am a firm believer that the only reason they even recorded that one is because they were trying to get evidence against Turtle Boy, and not because they were trying to get evidence in their murder investigation. And that is a huge problem. That's a huge problem. No matter what your thoughts are on, on Turtle Boy, the fact that they didn't record anything until that interview, and they spent, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I said it in the last episode, that transcript of that interview was however many pages it was. I think it was like 24 pages or something, and 13 of those 24 pages, it was just over half of those pages are about Turtle Boy, and not just the, murder investigation that they're saying. It's just, there's so many problems. It makes it hard to accept anything when they're, when what they have done already has caused such distrust. So it's hard to, it's hard to accept any of it. So, Dino for 20, all aboard the Hot Mess Express. Thank you. Hot Mess Express is pretty much it. Yes. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Not one bit surprised. Yeah. The corruption couldn't be more obvious. And I think that's one of the hard things too, because I am not I even said this on Melanie Little's show last night. I am not a conspiracy theory type gal. But the problem is when there's so many issues, it's hard to not look at the entire picture as opposed to, just when there's only one or two things that can, potentially be explained away. That's a little bit easier to deal with. But when the totality of everything together is just such a mess, that's when it's a little bit harder to, because then it's no longer one or two things that could potentially be explained away pretty easily. Then it becomes a big picture issue where more things are supporting I don't want to say necessarily supporting the cover-up. I want to be very intentional in my words. I don't know what happened or who's involved in what happened or any of that. I want to be clear about that. However, it's the same few people that continuously come up in the issues with the case. It's the same few people, the Proctor and, Buchanan and, this camera's making me dizzy. I gotta exit out of that. It's the same few names that keep coming up every time there's an issue. And I think that when you keep seeing the same names attached to different issues, that's a problem. And the trust that we would like to have in the system to, nail the bad guy and, make sure that everything's taken care of, keep the public safe and all that good stuff. Like, if there's that many problems, you kind of lose that trust. So, yeah, Angelity says it's difficult not to be a conspiracy theorist when there are conspiracies abound. Yeah, and I think that some of the hardest thing. Okay, look at it like this. If this were a movie, and you were watching it, and you don't know what really happened. It's one of those that's like, it keeps you guessing, you know, who done it. And you watched it, and you saw an officer who had ties, an officer who, by the way, is not supposed to be investigating this, and he drives by this house, and as he's in a car that's moving, he sees pieces of a taillight that were somehow missed in these other searches in a moving car driving by a house that he's not supposed to be investigating. If this were just a movie and you saw that, your first instinct would be like, oh, they in on it. That's dirty. And it's kind of the same thing. It's like, you know, life is not a movie, but then it's like you kind of look at situations like that and you're like, okay, but that's how, like, that's going to be your first instinct to be like, you know, that doesn't make sense. Like, how is he going to be in a moving car and see these pieces? And then one of the things that drives me crazy about the searches is that the taillight pieces, and I know that they said that they had to dig through the snow, but in the first search, before all of the extra snow fell, in the first search, they had the leaf blower and they melted the snow. They melted the snow so much that they were able to find clear pieces of this cocktail glass, but they somehow didn't melt it enough to find a shoe and big red pieces of taillight. It's hard to understand how that adds up. That's hard to understand. In snow, to find clear pieces of broken cocktail glass, but not a whole shoe? It's stuff like that if it was one thing or two things or three things that didn't add up, then it would be a little bit easier to be like, okay, we'll wait till trial and see what they say, you know, see how they explain that. Because sometimes there are simple explanations. If it was one thing or two thing or three things, that would be a lot easier. When it's so many things, so many things, it stops being a situation where it's like, oh, I'm sure that's another thing they can explain at trial. And it starts being a situation where it's like, maybe we all need to start paying a lot more attention to this and find out why this doesn't make sense, why this doesn't add up. It's just, there's just a lot that doesn't add up with this. And I am a logical girl. I like things that make sense. And when things don't make sense, then I start obsessing and digging until I can try to make it make sense. So Kelly, welcome to the family. Welcome. Glad to have you. Oh, yeah. The misspelling of names as well, Liz. Yes. There's so many misspellings of names, and even like there's times that are wrong. There's they in one of the reports, I can't remember which one it was, they said that the name of waterfall was like the Water Club or something, you know. So even stuff like that. I mean, there's so many. And to me, okay, I've spelled names wrong before, you know, somewhere. I'm sure it's happened in my life. But this is the death of a Boston police officer. This is not. This is one of their own. This is. And yes, they're not. It's not Boston. It's not Boston that's investigating this, so I don't mean it's one of their own as in Boston. I mean, this is a fellow officer. And the number of mistakes that are in these reports show such a lack of concern for the investigation into the death of one of their own that it is infuriating to me, and I think to a lot of other people as well. If this was one error, sometimes that happens. If this is 2 errors, okay, sometimes that happens. This is a big old hot mess. And to have that many issues in the investigation of one of your own shows such a lack of respect for his death and the investigation into his death. And I think that that's terrible. I think it's terrible. Oh, I'm blurry. It's because I'm moving too much. There. My camera gets blurry when I can't sit my ADHD self still. It's crazy, isn't it? Thank you for the super chat. I listened to you on the 2 podcasts this week. Great job. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Where was John's body in relationship to where Karen's car was? When was the taillight found? So, I wish that were a simple answer. So, there are reports. I'm still not being still. Sorry. Let me be still. There are reports that he was found 8 feet from the road, and there are reports that it was 12 feet from the road. There is a estimate that they did based on the video from the dash cam. That's how Trooper Proctor said they estimated where he ended up. And they gave coordinates based on that estimate from the video. Now, here's why this is interesting. They gave estimates based on a video, and then there are estimates based on witnesses who saw. I think Carrie was one of them, and I can't remember who said the other one, but anyway, one of them was 12 foot, one of them was 8 foot, and then there's the estimate based on the video, but nobody measured, apparently. Nobody measured, which is, I'm still blurry. I can't be still, that's why. Whatever, I'm just gonna have to be blurry. I look younger when I'm blurry anyway. But it's one of those things where it's another piece of that puzzle that's too vague because it wasn't handled properly. Yeah, and also, yep, no photos. Which is another crazy thing, right? Yeah. I don't know why I'm... There. There we go. There we go. Now I look older. I look older when I'm not blurry. So, yeah, more problems with that. The coordinates that they gave, I mapped those. I put those into the map and put them on there and compared it to where the map GPS points were, where they said that those manually plotted points where they said that she was when she was there to drop him off. And according to what they said about how she had to have gone 62 feet in reverse and all of that, none of that stuff lined up. So all of that is just a big old mess. None of it lined up with what they said it should be or how it should I mean, I wish I knew. None of it makes sense. Literally. Was he dropped off in the street or in the driveway? Well, it says that he was, like, most of the stuff says that he was dropped off in the street toward the edge of the property over by the flagpole and the fire hydrant, and the driveway's on the other side. But then one of the statements from that they said is from Jen McCabe said that she saw her parked by the driveway. So that's one of the things that's so frustrating. It just depends on, for any question that you ask me, I can give you 4 different answers based on court documents. And it shouldn't be like that. Yeah, definitely more questions than answers. Which is unfortunate. Yeah. Let me end the poll. We'll see. Are you surprised by... So 87% are not surprised by Judge Canoni's ruling. 12% are. Yeah, it's so disrespectful to Officer John O'Keefe and his family to not investigate his death properly. That's one of my big things. It's frustrating for me because I feel like with all of these mistakes, it just shows a lack of concern, and that's frustrating. Oh, yes. Thank you. Yeah, definitely check out the podcast. I go into a lot of depth in the podcast, and I have, you can see this is my screen where I've been sitting here working on the next episode. So, getting it done. Thank you. I love my kitchen too. I have like the tiniest little condo ever, but I have a big view, so it was worth it. But I guess I have to love my kitchen because I see it all the time. Since my little condo is so small. How many episodes will I be doing? Good question. So, I have not quite decided yet. So this week's episode, the one that I'm recording right now, is all about the additional evidence. So like the hair, the DNA stuff. I have Friday. That's tomorrow already, isn't it? Goodness gracious alive. Tomorrow I'm doing an interview with one of my friends who I adore and love, Dr. Kenneth Kinsey. You may remember him from the Murdaugh trial. He's been on the show before. He is brilliant. He is wonderful. And he did an interview, very short, on Court TV with Vinnie Politan, and he was talking about this case, and they sent him pictures, some of the pictures, I guess, that aren't public, and he was able to look at them, and they were talking to him about his thoughts on this, and he said that his issue, from what he can see in this, is that there's not in any, he does crime scene reconstruction stuff, right? So when he does this, there's got to be a source of the injuries. And he said that the way that they found John, it says that he, was laying face up. So for him to be laying face up and only have the injuries on one arm, but then there's nothing in the yard or anything that can explain where, like, that they can pinpoint as the source of those scratches. Also issues with the clothing that he was wearing, the injuries being, to the one arm and the head, and there are internal injuries, but there's nothing like torso and legs. And from the things that he's seen with, being hit by a car. Lucy's barking at spring breakers. She does not like them here. Lucy, it's okay. They paid to be here. It's okay. Come on. So he had a lot of questions about different things too. And the interview that he did was kind of short. So I just texted him. I was like, hey, I want to know more about your thoughts on this. He's so smart, and he's, he obviously did this for a living. This is his jam. So I'm going to interview him tomorrow. I'm not going to do it on a live, but I will record it. I want to use some of his clips of what he says in the podcast episode that I'm going to put out this weekend. Or I don't know if it's going to go out Sunday again, or if it's going to go out Monday. I might wait till Monday. But regardless, I'm going to interview him, and I will record it. And I'll probably just release. I'm going to put some of it on the podcast, but then I'll probably release the whole interview like as a members only thing on the channel after I put the podcast episode out. But I would like to pick his brain about more of what he says. And any questions that y'all have that you want me to ask about the injuries or whatever, email them to me, Brandi at BrandiChurchwell13. Email them to me, and I'll be happy to ask him. I'm getting my little list together of things that, things that I want him to explain to me. There's a lot of things that I don't know, which is why I go to the people who do. So, with the 227 search, I went to the people who do the coding, and with the injuries, I go to, people like Dr. Kinsey who have done this, their whole career. And, he's one of the star experts, star witnesses in the Alex Murdaugh trial. So I am interested to hear what he has to say. So it'll be interesting. But this episode is going to be all about that. Next week's episode is going to be about the other conspiracy with the all of the stuff about Turtle Boy and the court documents saying that the defense was talking to him and their claims that they're not the ones doing the conspiracy, that or they're not the ones involved in a conspiracy, that it's the defense, and the stuff that they say in the court documents is pretty I was going to say aggressive. I guess aggressive isn't the right term, but it's the verbiage that they use in the court documents is pretty well, we'll go with aggressive. We'll go with that. But so next week's episode is going to be about that. And then once the trial starts, the episodes will be basically like, kind of recapping and going over anything that we find out that we maybe didn't know before, hopefully filling in some of the holes, seeing what comes out. And then I have not decided about afterwards yet. I don't know. I've had a lot of locals reach out to me asking me to look into other parts of, like, other things in the area, like different corruption. I've had a lot of people ask me to kind of, when Karen's trial is over, to continue with the Canton episodes of the 13th Juror podcast, continue with that before I move on to another season, and look at Sandra Birchmore and some things like that. So I have not decided yet exactly what I'm going to do with that or where I'm going to go with that. But to be continued. We'll figure it out. Yeah, Sandra Birchmore. I've had a lot of people send me information about that, asking me to kind of shift into that with the Canton episodes once I finish the trial. So I might do that. And then once I finish that part, what we will do is, my plan is, before I start another deep dive, I'm going to do, probably spend a few weeks doing, each weekly episode will be like I'll go back to some of the jury duty episodes, but each episode will be like the full story of one of the trials that either we're covering or have covered or whatever before I start my next deep dive. The deep dives are just so much work. It is so time consuming. So time consuming. But I will more than likely end up doing Sandra Birchmore after. So we'll see. We'll see. What is it? Why are you crawling me? When do openings start for Daybell? I'm not sure yet. They have to seat the jury. They were talking about jury selection being taking all this week and possibly some of next week. So we'll have to kind of play that by ear. I am trying to spend as much time as I can today and tomorrow and basically until openings start, getting podcast stuff done and all the behind the scenes stuff. I'm very excited that the podcast is doing so well and to be ranked, top 50 in the US is like huge accomplishment, and I'm so proud of it and so excited for it. But also, I have had 0 hours of sleep and 0 personal time lately. So I'm trying to get caught up as much as I can. Once Daybell starts, once the openings start, and then we've got, Karen Reed starting right after that, it's going to be a busy month or two. So yeah, Sandra Birchmore is very sad. Young woman allegedly unalived self, but most believe that she was killed. Involves police corruption with some of the same players as the Reed case. Yeah. It's crazy. All right. So, it's funny you mentioned that, Jeff, and let me tell you why. I'm so thorough. Whoever I dated couldn't get away with anything. Part of the reason that I am like this is because, have you ever seen that show, Who the F Did I Marry? I lived that show. I lived that show. There was so much I did not know about the man that I married, and when stuff started getting, when the math wasn't mathin', I had to start doing my own digging and finding stuff out, which is a lot of my previous investigative experience came from him. I didn't even know how many kids he had. He lied to me about that. I did not even know how many stepchildren I had. He lied to me about that. He was a Marine, and he convinced me when I was wanting to buy a house that we could do the what is the veterans loan, the VA loan. And when I went to file all the paperwork, then I found out that he was a Marine, but he was dishonorably discharged, and after like less than a year. Didn't tell me that part. So I found out and then you know, and then I found like he was on Twitter while I was in the hospital going through chemo and stuff, like, so a lot of my investigative skills actually come from having to find out who the hell I married. Oh no, don't be sorry I went through that. I mean, what a great ending to that, right? Like, look where I'm at now and what I'm doing. Like, I'm living in the place I've always wanted to live. I have, you know, I'm doing something that I've always loved and didn't even think it was possible to make a career of. My life could not have ended any better for me. So it's amazing. It's a huge blessing. So yeah, it's a good thing. Yeah, that will get you DQ. You know what's funny too? He said when it kept coming back, he kept telling me, you know, oh no, they have the wrong one. They have the wrong one. So I believed him. I was like, well, surely somebody in his family would have told me that that's what happened. And so I'm like writing the government like, how dare you mess up these records and, you know, whatever. And then they finally got tired of me hassling them about it. And so they sent me the thing with his signature and his explanation and all that. And I was like, wait a minute. I know that signature. It was a mess. It was a mess. Crazy, right? So funny. The things that, like, where I was then and where I'm at now is just, it's two totally different lives. So it's great. Everything happened in exactly the way it was supposed to happen, and everything has been great because of that. So it's perfect. Can I share what he did to get maybe on another day. He is something else. I didn't even know how many kids he had, y'all. Did not even know how many kids he had. But what's funny is that now, like, I'm close to, you know, his kids' moms. They like me more than they like him. For good reason. All right. I am going to call it a day. So I will not see you today. I'm going to finish working on podcast episode, and tomorrow I'm going to work on podcast episode. And then I've got the interview with Dr. Kinsey tomorrow. So I've got a lot going on the next couple of days. And I'm trying to get everything done because I would really like to have a full Saturday and Sunday off. I haven't had that in so long. So long. So we're going to work on it. We're going to see. We're going to see if it happens. See what I can figure out. So I've got when I get the next episode out, I will let y'all know. Oh, Crazy Cat Queen. Thank you so much. Hey, Brandi, I just want to say, hey, tell you what an inspiration you are. Love from Tallahassee. Don't work too hard. Make sure you take time for you. Also, give Lucy a kiss for me. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very generous. I appreciate that so much. And Tallahassee, I'll see you in September. I'll be there for Donna's trial. Oh, Miss Adelson. I will be there for that. So, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's very, very sweet. All right, that's all I got today, y'all. I am going to get going so I can get back to work on this. If you have any questions about the injuries or the accident reconstruction stuff or any of that stuff that you want me to ask Dr. Kinsey, feel free to email them to me. Brandi at BrandiChurchwell13. If you send them to me, I can get my list together and make sure that I ask any of, because some of y'all might have good questions I hadn't even thought of. So get them together, send them to me, Brandi at BrandiChurchwell.com, and I'm going to interview him tomorrow. Once I release the podcast episode, I will, because I'm going to see what clips I want to take from that, and then I'll release that as a, I'll do like a members only thing for that, since as like a award for y'all, since we're not going to do the members only live Sunday. So sound good? Sounds good. All right, y'all. I appreciate you so much, and thank you to everybody who's been listening to the podcast and doing the reviews and all that stuff. I am so blown away by the growth of it and how well it's doing, and I appreciate each and every one of y'all, so thank you so much. All right, y'all, if I don't see you before Monday, have a good weekend. Otherwise, I will see y'all Monday, and have a good weekend.
I gotta go. I can't stick around here forever.
Everybody was wonderful. Everybody behaved. Everybody's always so nice to me.
Just love your channel and
Goodbye, good people. Now, how the heck do I get out of here?